Welcome back to the College Championship. We are here going into game number 2. I was going to have to scream so loud if I did the stupid thing and kept my mic above my head. But the way these teams are playing does make me want to scream at the top of my lungs because it was an exciting first game if you're a UST fan, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it really felt like for UST, nothing went over their head in that first game. They had everything under control. As I really feel like, again, that game, UST, the identity we've seen from them, it's really been about surviving early game, getting to the later stages where they team fight really well for a collegiate squad. That is what brought them over Maryville, what got them in the finals, and what gave them that first tally in their column for game 1.
And the way that they were making sure to play the game early to set up for that. Unlocking their support from the lane, letting Shogo just do his thing, get that farm lead, get those turret plates. In fact, all across the board, their laners were at the very least holding their own or pushing aggressively for those advantages.
Yeah, I really liked what Invert was talking about on the desk, about a lot of, snowballing games, about how your jungler interacts with the lanes. And the lanes that the jungler interacted with, it was mid and bot, and UST survived. And then the one that wasn't affected was top, and Porsche just destroyed that matchup on the gangplank. So you're going to see a side swap for Bay State. It will actually preempt a gangplank ban out of St. Thomas, respecting Bejjanii's gangplank, which is also fantastic. So that is one advantage that Bay State might have going into the next game. Maybe one of the reasons that they decided to go to the blue side.
If you can't play the pick yourself, you might as well deny it. That's the thought from St. Thomas, even though Bay State had a bit of a different approach when they let it through in game number 1. We also know that Porsche is very comfortable on the Gwen, so that is a ban from Bay State's side. And then the Rengar, it's curious to me to see the Rengar continuously banned as well, because you wonder, is it the pick or is it maybe not wanting to play into that style, the way they're pairing it with the Ivern to show a different type of control?
It's something that Maryville definitely had a game plan for yesterday. Maybe Bay State doesn't. And that is a very, very different draft, different style to deal with. So if you spend one ban to just not deal with that, I always think that's an okay call from a team. It seems clear that Bay State feels that way as well. But hey, if you are on the side of St. Thomas, what pick has been so good for you in this tournament? It's been RobbyBob's Viktor. Why not blind that, lock it in yet again? That is going to be secured for the side of St. Thomas.
Comfortable with the blinds no matter what side they're playing, it seems. So making sure to lock that in and not give up too information about the draft that they want to follow through with either. For Bay State, the Wukong Dragonmin was on the pick prior and had previous success in other series. Kitzuo wants to stick on that Lee Sin.
I think it is worth noting, Wukong, I think we've only seen it be played in the jungle so far in top 8, but can always be thrown up to the top side. So that is something that Bay State could potentially toy around with as one of the swaps that we're going to see for Bay State, of course, blue side, but also opting into a different mid lane matchup, as it will not be the Zoe for Seranok, but it will be the Ahri.
And Ahri, the way that Seranok we've seen from the past, just really trying to keep yourself safe with the Spirit Rush later. A lot of damage that you can throw out for the team. You have someone like Ezreal for SophistSage. Ezreal was banned by St. Thomas during game number 1. Now left open, Bay State takes it.
And this is the champion that SophistSage has really made a name for himself on. Sophist, a player that actually participated in a scouting grounds in the past, went over to Korea and went really high in the ladder. So a player that individually is very talented, but I was expecting the Kaisa out of Shogo, but instead it's going to be another new champion from Shogo in this top 8 as he decides to lock in the Vayne.
All right, we haven't seen his Vayne in top 8 just yet, Cubby. A very different look, shorter range, and we really haven't seen any Vayne. Is that right?
No, this is a different pick. But Shogo, again, he actually doesn't play Ezreal, so I gotta believe that he has some counters ready to go into the Ezreal Vayne. If you do have a support that can help you push or deal with the push of the lane, Vayne later is really good at dueling Ezreal. So if Shogo is able to find Sophist isolated in the side lanes, that could be big. That tells me that St. Thomas might have a similar game plan to last game, where if Bay State decides to play for that early Rift Herald, they leave Shogo with the Vayne in the side lane and try and have him get an advantage there on his own in that window. But as we move on, looks like St. Thomas taking away a couple top laners, maybe setting up for, or I guess respecting some of the blinds that Bejjaniii could throw at them, but also maybe setting up to blind the top laner here. They could take Ornn.
We haven't seen the Ornn yet today, and very much something that is in line with the style that St. Thomas has been bringing through. Even with the bot laner being different. Oh, so if we don't get Yuumi at all, Yuumi is still here in presence somehow, thanks to Shogo.
I love the personality of these players. You know, let's take advantage of being on stage, having a camera in front of them. Really feels like Shogo's relishing the opportunity. Or hey, maybe he's just to send the message to his support, like, please give me Yuumi. I can carry with Vayne Yuumi.
The bot laners and supports of the world feel very differently when teams are asking them to play Yuumi, except by some, not always by all. But instead, here for Bay State side, still no Yuumi coming through either way. Braum. So set up in a lot of these fights, a lot of protective capability, especially when looking at some of the projectiles that St. Thomas might be throwing at them.
Yeah, it's one way to get rid of that Ornn horn. Braum really strong into that, and Bay State already having main engage with Wukong, Ahri, and now a little bit of help from the Gnar is good, but you get support counter. Enchantresses into Braum can make that lane unplayable. And I really want to see if Chookies decides to go for something like a Lulu, like a Soraka, or, I mean, maybe even a Yuumi here. As Braum, you can poke him out, especially with the Vayne, rather strong into the lane, as Chookies point around. A couple champs, a good pick, and yeah, it's going to be an Enchantress. It's going to be that Lulu for UST.
Difficult for him to get those concussive blows stacked up against the range. You also are forced to bring up your shield so much more when you have those projectiles coming from you to open up the damage follow-up from someone like Shogo on the Vayne. So we'll have to see how safely Bay State decide to play in this lane compared to that Vayne Lulu matchup.
And for Bay State, again this game, I really feel like mid-jungle is important. Seranok on the Ahri, when you get that ult, when you get that Everfrost, you can go roam, make plays with it, go affect the side lanes. Because when I look at the two side lanes, again, for UST, that Ornn, it scales hard. That Vayne Lulu, it scales hard. Viktor, RobbyBob, we've seen what he can do on this champion in this top 8. Bay State's on a timer again, and they have to hit it much harder than they did in Game 1. They want to have a chance in Game 2.
UST, despite differences in the draft, a lot of the same look. Bay State really want to try and even up this series right now and not let that momentum get absolutely out of control as our coaches lead.
I like the self fist bump between the two.
I was just thinking, I'm like, wait,
that's pretty cute.
They just stand on different sides to fist bump each other. I like it. I like it.
You know, self-5, paying some respect to Bay State. Still getting the handshakes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it for sure. I dig it for sure. And I dig just what we've seen in the series so far. Both teams with their passion on their sleeves at the ready to try and claim that championship. You can see the trophy nice and glimmering there on the stage, awaiting someone to grab it in their hands.
That did have some shine on it. That's fun being in the studio. We got all the whites camera and hopefully some action here on the Rift as both teams loading in. Excited to see if Bay State, again, can take advantage of this early game.
Let's see, Bay State on blue side this time, going up against UST, who have the series advantage thus far. No collective team movement yet. That's something that we have seen prior with trying to get those wards established on the bot side, but it's usually just to try to catch someone out. Instead, standard positioning across the riverside.
And for the side of Bay State, I am really curious to see which lane Dragonmin prioritizes. Because with Gnar in the top side, Gnar's a pretty self-sufficient pick, and you only have gank assist if Gnar is mega. On the bot side, Vayne Lulu, I think if you leave that lane in isolation against Ezreal Braum, it will start to destroy that lane. Because Lulu into Braum, it's so difficult, again, as you mentioned, stacking up that passive of Braum. Trying to find the all-in, but hey, if you bring an extra member, I feel like that's the solution. So I'm actually kind of surprised to see Dragonmin starting on the bot side. Maybe concerned that his bot lane is going to get shoved in early, wouldn't be able to contest that bot lane crab, but that also tells me it's going to be a pretty slow, heavy clear here for Dragonmin, which, again, I feel like puts Bay State at a disadvantage.
Awaiting the time before he feels he can truly make an impact on these lanes and instead get a bit more powerful himself for UST. A little bit of shooting here onto the blue to try and give the illusion to Bay State that they were leashing for their jungler Kitzuo.
Shogo being down mana. This might throw off Bay State, and I like this from UST. We did see them do this yesterday against Maryville in one of the later games, so we'll see if Bay State, gets thrown off by the fake info that UST's throwing at him. I like that. I wish that we saw more bluffs even at the higher level. When you're not scouted level 1, that can really impact the decision-making of Dragonmin moving forward, and I want to see how Dragonmin adapts.
What do you do with that intel? Is it real? Is it fake? I don't know! Try and get in the heads of Bay State nice and early. But that is one of the things that I think we've been praising UST for, is showing the clear strategy. We have mentioned that phrase, but it comes down to a lot of those micro decisions. It's not just saying, hey, don't play too crazy, you're gonna get strong later. It's how do you get into the head and under the skins of your opponents and try and prevent them from making those early plays that they want to, because it's difficult for them to do so without the right intel.
And might get spotted here as Dragonmin has completed the fast 3 camps on the Wukong, and doesn't actually scout out the Raptors, but will move towards this top side where Bejjaniii has been playing out this early lane phase really well, and you can see Seranok at least bluffing to go towards that top side now with Raptor spotted. RobbyBob will spot the Wukong, so UST again playing with more information than Bay State.
Deep wards established for Bay State, and Bejjaniii on the Gnar facing off against the Ornn. You do have that chance to try and poke out a bit and send him back early.
And we have the wraparound from Kitzuo. We'll see if Bay State expects this. They have to be looking for the Lee Sin, as now Swordblue will find him.
Throws down the ward just in time, circles around, hits him with the Winter's Bite. Does Kitzuo try and collapse upon this? Finds a lock onto Swordblue. Safeguard here onto Chookies. SophistSage with some poke out, but Swordblue is still pretty low. Can't really get in front of him for the protection. A good blast of damage, though. SophistSage drawing first blood. Kitzuo says, I don't want you to get that for free. Tried to go in, flash traded for flash. And it's just one kill, Bay State drawing it.
Really well played by the bot lane of Bay State, as Swordblue spotting Kitzuo early. They were able to isolate him and proc that passive twice against University of St. Thomas as Chookies fell. He didn't flash out of the last concussive blow, wasn't able to escape, didn't think it was going to be enough damage by Bay State. It was through the falls.
And it is the Lulu, the ranged one, the one that would be bullying them before. And in the end, with Kitzuo spending that time down bot, hoping to make a good play, it was Bay State that came out on top. Now off of that back, SophistSage can come back into lane with a bit more firepower. The wave having time to get directly under the turret, but there's no Shogo here to try and clear it for some plate damage.
We'll see if Kitzuo hits recall, as this will not be spotted. But for Kitzuo in this first clear, again, a much better start for Bay State, as Kitzuo's Raptors, looks like Dragonmin left a little 1 or 2, so that camp won't respawn. That's less experience now being given to Kitzuo, as you do get a lot of experience from the second spawn of the camps on the map. So Dragonmin, Bay State, they've set Kitzuo and UST's bot lane behind. Much better start for them in the second game.
RobbyBob teleporting back to lane after his back here. Fairly even in CS between the two. A little bit of that lead for Dragonmin because of those previous plays. Bejjaniii in some trouble. Kitzuo here for the follow-up, an early flash from Bejjaniii. He doesn't even want to have it. Porsche goes in with a flash of his own, but they can't connect.
I think that if they want that kill, if Kitzuo preemptively flashes, they end up getting it for free. The flash and the hop were burned by Bejjaniii, but Kitzuo trying to preserve that summoner spell. That kill now escapes, and Bejjaniii can TP back to that lane, catch all the golden XP, and now Dragonmin can answer bot.
Collapsing directly under, polymorph onto Dragonmin, stuns up one, Shogo goes down. Bay State continuing to extend their lead here in the bot lane with a second kill onto the enemy support.
A hot start for Bay State as they run with the lead they were already granted bot from the good play of Swordblue and SophistSage. It continues now with the help of Dragonmin. Exactly what we were asking for from Bay State. Try to make aggressive plays, try and interact more with your laners if you are Dragonmin to get a lead. Bay State have done just that as they are up almost 2k gold early.
And UST's response is to send Porsche down to the bot lane. Chookies and Shogo, upon spawning, going up towards top. They're hoping the matchup against the range that Gnar has to offer can give them a little bit more stability, but Seranok already on the move. Does have Spirit Rush here, and that's when you have to worry about Ahri and just how quickly she can move between lanes and have an impact. Swordblue also feeling unlocked because SophistSage can hold that bot lane on his own against Porsche.
This is all spotted by the side of UST, and I really think this does benefit Bay State as Ezreal. If you're strong enough to be in that Ornn lane, getting accelerated on the Ezreal, again, a marksman that has a lot of spell damage. So extra levels early, putting more points in those spells, really valuable for the Ez. And we see SophistSage just being solo bot, really starting to get ahead of the Vayne in experience, not to mention gold.
Both of the mid laners ahead in experience because of their lonesome there. Silence, stun, charm, and more. Kitzuo eliminated. RobbyBob flash over the wall. Seranok here still looking for the kill. And Chookies wants to answer because Seranok is fairly low. True Shot Barrage over to one side. Doesn't need to connect though. RobbyBob goes down. Kitzuo just now back spawning once more. Chookies locked. Another hit from Swordblue. Can they get the concussive blow? They don't even need it yet. The damage is good enough. More kills for Bay State.
And this rotation from UST, again, very surprising because now you have your marksman into a soul laner. It's down 2 levels in Bay State. This is another kill for them.
Oh no, tumbling away, throws the heal, says, oh, I've got my tier 2 hero. I've got my jungler here, Kitzuo. He's connected with the Q. He gets slammed into the wall by the Gnar though. The ultimate is too good. Shogo activating the ultimate, even in disguise.
Shogo?
Can he take their demise? Does shut down some. Bejjaniii, you ain't gonna get away. That's a double kill. Shogo starting to get some strength in him.
And Bay State, I don't know how they were not able to take down Shogo. I think the Q from Braum, it hit a minion. They weren't able to land the slow to stack the passive. And that one mistake, Shogo takes it, runs with it. This specialty Vayne pick now went from being behind, went from being a tragic game to him, for him being right back in this one.
My goodness. Every time UST come out on top in a game, it's because Shogo gets ahead, and they're probably thinking, let's collapse upon him here. This is fine.
Oh, man. Yeah, that Braum Q, it caught a minion. So Shogo isn't slowed. He can walk out, and then Kitzuo, he does trade himself out for this, but Shogo goes untouched, and because that kill goes over, he dings level 6, so that extra range, extra AD, that lower cooldown on the tumble, that's all that Shogo needed with a little bit of help from his buddy Chookies. Both of these bot laners came over from Colombia. They played there in fall. Now playing here in summer, Shogo was almost a backup for UST early when Array left to go pro or go play with 100 Thieves next. Shogo said, he reached out to UST, said, I want to come, I want to be on this team, but also I want to bring my buddy Chookies. I believe in this guy. I believe we can be a good bot lane in collegiate, and they are stepping up here, even after the mistakes in the finals. Oh no, RobbyBob.
As great as everything was from Shogo previously, Bay State tries to make an answer around mid by taking down RobbyBob. SophistSage still over on this top side. Singular pick for them. But on that Shogo point, though, you can feel the motivation, not just in person, but the way he plays on the Rift. Because when you decide, all right, it's just me, do I try and retreat safely, or do I pop the final hour and try to make a kill?
Kitzuo.
He's not here for the kill right now, though. Bay State instead getting it onto Kitzuo, who finds way too much blue around him.
Yeah, I think Kitzuo assumed that Dragonmin was actually on the Dragon, but Dragonmin was on Seranok. And Kitzuo falls, and this is a big lead now for Bay State because they take that first Dragon, but also that's a lot of plates off the Viktor's turret mid, so if Bay State's able to take a second Rift Herald, you can take away that first turret from Viktor. That's lethal. They even punish the Viktor's flash being down as... Oh, we do look towards the top side.
Still a lot of poke going down. It's the 2v2 from the bot side just over here towards top. So a lot of what SophistSage and Swordblue were facing prior, they were kind of looking for that matchup again, but this is going to get pushed in. Some more plates to take down. There's still 3 minutes on the clock for these plates to remain.
And the only strong point now for UST, really out of this early game, it is Shogo. As Shogo, he's going to have to help make sure that he can bridge the gap and get his team into the later stages when this Viktor will come online, but that has been delayed out of really good play from Bay State. So, again, I feel like Bay State, it's so important that their mid-jungle duo keeps snowballing this game ahead. Keep our eyes out for Dragonmin, and then keep our eyes out for Seranok, who's sitting at 2-1-2 in an Everfrost, can start to really pressure these sides to be able to get out of this mid lane.
Approximately a 600 gold difference between Seranok and his laner and RobbyBob because of that pressure that they were exerting here. A singular plate remaining on that tower that RobbyBob can try to protect. But Bejjaniii is still facing off against Porsche over here towards the bot side. Teleport just now coming up for Bejjaniii. Porsche as well, but we're not in unlocked territory yet, so Kitzuo is getting collapsed upon by the rest of Bay State. We're coming through. Kitzuo goes down. But now the rest of the team is here. A charm immediately upon throwing down the Ornn Horn. SophistSage has to stay out of range. A Death Ray to slice through some. Gravity Field gets the stun onto Dragonmin, but it's just his clone at that, so they can't follow up.
And the Unbreakable from Swordblue to deny the call of Forge God. It was big, as that prevents UST from trading out anything in that skirmish. And while all this was going on the top side, look at Bejjaniii bot. He is untouched on the Gnar, just farming up plates. And now Bay State looking to snowball this into more. RobbyBob, you have the wave clear on the Viktor, but Bay State, they're on the attack. Both Braum and Wukong looking to flank.
Bay State's mid turrets themselves being pretty healthy. They can dive this one under here. Chaos Storm thrown out to make that trade kill onto Dragonmin. And Kitzuo can get some of this clear, but with Swordblue here, it means that Seranok can just fire at the tower. Dodging away back to the 1v1 down bot. I mean, Bejjaniii has been pushing up for a while. And top, just action across, and these individual skirmishes. SophistSage goes down. Shogo, 3 kills for him, starting to get strong. Has that Gale Force, had used the active previously in this. It's going to be a tough situation when Vayne is here with Lulu to add that extra level of protection, having used the Wild Grove for that extra durability.
And they even got the TP out of Bejjaniii. We'll have to see if Seranok and Swordblue can answer Seranok. That Spirit Rush is coming off cooldown soon.
Control Ward catching out Swordblue here. Committing to the back, Shogo could get away. Chookies, though, had stopped.
He's got to run.
Yeah, they're looking like maybe we try to pursue this. We have Gnar coming up with this wave.
Shogo might have brought his buddy to the school, but unfortunately he left him under this turret. I think Chookies going down.
Said, bye-bye, you should have left with me from this party. I had the ride waiting with my door open and you didn't hop into it. So you end up falling, but Shogo's already made his way back over towards top. Porsche and Kitzuo pushing together and offering some of this pressure on the bot side because that turret itself has been a little weak. SophistSage stepping up. Kitzuo still going on for it. Kicks away. Is the burn enough? You can see the ticking back and forth, though. It ain't.
Kitzuo, he went for the swag flag, man. He was trying to not look at that explosion. Just enough health, though, for Sophist, but hey. That's another wave forced out of the Ezreal as, again, SophistSage and Swordblue on the Braum. They were really the strong point of the map. They survived that 2v3. They managed to get Shogo Chookies down under that turret initially, but UST has really started to set SophistSage behind as now Shogo, he's up a level. He's up in gold compared to this Ezreal.
And while Shogo is up in gold against Ezreal, Seranok, though, still lots of gold for him to continue being that threat from a different position. But Shogo can survive a lot more in these interactions because of that Imperial Mandate, so it's something that you have to be wary on in combination with the Lulu here. Every time they'll be rotating together, but Bay State have enough threats for themselves. 2.4K in gold still established.
And also stacking up these dragons. One of the ways that you can answer all the scaling on the enemy team is to try and pressure for a soul. So we will see UST is able to pick up any gold in the back half. Does not look like it, as it will just be a free dragon going over to the side of Bay State. The turret as well is now RobbyBob.
Horn blasts through.
Oh, wait.
Seranok all dead. Swordblue looking to fall again. Glacial Fissure thrown down. He's on the retreat, but he cannot escape.
Sophist was able to pick up RobbyBob with that ultimate, but that's big for UST as Seranok pushes too hard, was not able to get the reset to get out with the Spirit Rush. It ends up being a one-way trip thanks to the rotation from Porsche. As UST, that is some much-needed gold in their pockets.
They do need that. They cut that gold lead down to 1.4K, eliminating about 1,000 gold off of it from Bay State. So it's becoming a much more even-keeled game for the two. Still a lot of these turrets that have been blasted down for a while before Bay State see if they can capitalize.
And it's a nice look, a nice try from the side of Seranok and Swordblue, but they're outnumbered. Dragonmin was on Dragon, he's in base. Bejjaniii doesn't have TP, it's bot side, and when Seranok doesn't find the kill on the RobbyBob, he doesn't get the extra charge of the Spirit Rush to get out. The rotation from UST is faster as they had shoved in that side lane, and Bay State overreaching a bit there. One of the first mistakes we've seen from them in this game.
The question is, how much can UST do off of that mistake? We have seen before they're so good at identifying them and creating leads within the game off of those small windows and openings.
I think the good news for UST is the fact that RobbyBob has flash back up. That makes it a lot easier to deal with Ahri in the side lane. Still means that you will be under siege, and we'll see if this TP gets in. As that tower was low, Porsche is here.
Makes it just in time. Tries to go towards Seranok. Dragonmin, the next target. Kitzuo kicks him away, follows up. Ornn comes through. Swordblue throws up the shield. The Unbreakable here to try and stop it, but Porsche is unstoppable. They take down the support. Feeling pretty good about that fight for them as they've eliminated both the jungler and the support from Bay State. Now 4 kills for this Vayne. Shogo getting nice and strong.
And that entire play for UST, it's off of Bejjaniii, as his TP just came back up. When he shows bot, UST knows that they can make plays around the map. They have a numbers advantage. They push it hard.
As soon as the key connects, Kitzuo wants to go for SophistSage, but between 2 towers, that's a lot of damage. Retreats in the end. Seranok facing off against his laner, but over on this top side because this wave is pushing through.
Oh boy, Shogo. He's pretty buff with that Lulu, as Dragonmin, that smite is required to buy some space. As Bejjaniii, he's gonna get attacked now. He's mini, but a TP comes in from Seranok.
Oh, Porsche starting to
Watch
get a bit
Shogo.
of teleport here. Right and try. RobbyBob directly on top of the rest. Throws a Chaos Storm. This zones off Dragonmin in the gravity field. Even with the Unbreakable Swordblue is in such dangerous territory. Bejjaniii is on the outside. Shogo's here trying to put the show on for everybody. And they still go through. Bejjaniii has just been completely separated this entire time. So Seranok and Dragonmin falling. A lot of that damage no longer available. And Swordblue low, where SophistSage can't step up very effectively.
And just like that, all the good work that Bay State put into the early game. The last couple minutes, as Bejjaniii doesn't have TP, UST has taken that all away from them by making plays around the map, have it with a numbers advantage, punishing the fact that Gnar was showing on sides. They make plays elsewhere and continue to push this game more and more in their favor. And again, UST with this scaling composition, they've gotten to the point where, look at the items on Shogo's Vayne. I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with Shogo.
That's definitely going to be a tough one to do with, I mean, the Immortal Shield Bow and more available to him. That's just a lot of damage, a lot of survivability, a lot of way to offset what Bay State can bring to him.
The good news for Bay State is that, at least with the Braum, they can stop the call of the Forge God. And after that, UST really doesn't have great engage tools. I feel like their map play, the fact they've been separating Bay State, has been one of the really big parts about why they've won the last couple fights and skirmishes. But maybe if they're able to set up a front to back, maybe if you can get Ahri on an angle, you can try and pressure the Lulu that doesn't have flash anymore. I feel like that should be the big target here for Bay State, as we have both teams posturing over this bot river. Hextech up in 20 seconds. Soul point would be big for Bay State, but at the moment, UST have control.
Even though that gold is even, it's definitely UST that will have pressure. A Glacial Fissure answered by going into stasis from Kitzuo. Chaos Storm still off of a lot of the Bay State members. Some knock up from the Ornn Horn.
I think that's enough just to take the dragon. Again, Bay State, they're so low off the chunks from RobbyBob's Viktor. They're forced to contest, but this is a big disadvantage as Gnar's about to run out too.
That's one of the things about when you play Gnar is that's a timer that UST is clearly comfortable trying to play around when an objective is up. Dragon coming down, Kitzuo is sitting directly onto it, but in the end, Dragonmin takes it. So do they win the fight as well? They just want to retreat. Shogo with that final hour activated, now gets Bejjaniii turning back on the Swordblue, but it is RobbyBob with the double kill credit, but a team effort had by all as the triple is finalized. UST leaving only one alive. They turn their eyes over towards the Baron side.
Now, all this was going on. There was an MVP Shelly. Solo on the top side did take the top inner and inhibitor turret as UST. They will actually have to base. They want to save their inhibitor that might fall to the minions. But everything else on the map fell in UST's favor. They now take the Baron. This gold lead is huge, and Shogo is way too big to deal with in this one.
And that was one of those weird Rift Heralds too that just had to throw down to get her down somewhere and keep on chugging along. But
see what
because
happens.
of all that action over on the bot side, Shelly actually got to do her thing, and now this inhibitor down. Bay State do have somewhere they can try and play through.
And again, this fight, I mean, the engage tools for Bay State, the only way they can really start a fight is with Wukong's ultimate. You have mini Gnar up. You have nothing to fight with. And Dragonmin, yes, you do steal the dragon. Yes, that is big. That is soul point for Bay State, but St. Thomas, they're the ones with all the tools, and if ultimates are down, well, guess what? Shogo is just going to rip through your team with how far ahead he is at this point, as look at how Shogo plays this, using the combos to sidestep everything. A beautiful team fight from him.
I got you with all the damage, everything that I have coming, and the combination of Shogo and RobbyBob in these fights has been great. I mean, Viktor just offers a lot of that zoning and very comfortable on the pick, that's for sure.
And that front line from UST, I mean, the way they protected Shogo, they were all grouped up right in front of him. And if there was no angle from Bay State, which they couldn't really find because they were missing all the ultimates, you just cannot deal with Vayne. And Shogo absolutely shredded them.
So now we have to see how Bay State responds to the fact that I'm sure they're aware some of this has gotten a little out of hands, but we did mention they do have some advantages to look towards with that inhibitor down over on the top side. The wave is pushing against them, so they'll want to make sure those supers get up nice and comfortable there. And all the while, Porsche has teleport available, same with RobbyBob. You have to think about those when you're wanting to make this pressure across the whole map.
And for Bay State, I think they're going to have to drop these inner turrets, as UST and the Baron push should be too much, but...
Yeah, it's the Baron that's going to delay how long it takes before they can do so. Wild Growth used on Kitzuo so that he could
watch Shogo
get out of this situation, but they want to recommit because they've got the teleport coming on in. Porsche is here.
It should be the top inner. Yeah, all right, this is it for the top inner. I mean, the best thing that Bay State can do is get in a good position to try and take this next dragon, or bleed out summoner spells to try and make it easier to fight around that. But until then, it's going to be UST who have that scaling, have that Viktor, have that siege potential, of course have that Baroned up mini wave, which is starting to crash into the inhibitor turrets here of Bay State.
And because of that inhibitor being down, it's exactly that. They want to make sure that they use this Baron buff so they completely cancel out a lot of the advantage of having that down. And they're confident in their matchup when facing against them here. Charm attempt over the wall, but Chookies has been doing a great job too of protecting not just Shogo, but Kitzuo when needed, shielding, giving them move speed to dodge a lot of the projectiles that can be most threatening from Bay State.
Yeah, Chookies' job this game is to be the roommate, you know? Just make sure your buddy's in line. You know, I got your back. I'm going to help you out here as we start our college experience.
I have your hangover food at the ready in the kitchen.
He's just, you know, holding hands here with Shogo on the Lulu as they've gotten to the point of the game. Again, UST, the scaling comp, gold advantage in their pockets. This dragon, though, is big, as Bay State, if they want to try and match the scaling of UST, they need Soul to help. Do I think it's enough at this point? I honestly don't, but hey, Hex Deck Soul is damn powerful, so we'll see if Bay State can try and get in the position to take this. But again, look at the mini-map here. Look at the vision, thanks to the toggles from our observers. We have resets coming out from Seranok and from Swordblue 30 seconds out, and UST, huge vision. The one thing that I really have my eyes on, we do have TP for both Bejjaniii and Seranok. These two wards are good options for the side of Bay State if they want to try and get around UST.
Only 10 seconds on the clock, and UST's answer is to push forward into Bay State's jungle, see who they can catch out, get some of their own deep wards so they know when they're wanting to rotate through. Instead, they go right into it. A charm onto Kitzuo, and the Ornn wants to come as well. Knock up from the Cyclone here. Oh my goodness, there's some falling though. You've already lost two from Bay State. Swordblue marked low, another charm onto Shogo. Was trying to get this kill onto Seranok, but you just push him away. So now Bejjaniii, who already took so much damage, doesn't have a team available to try and help them contest this. So the rest of Bay State rotate over towards that dragon.
UST will be forced to respond to the top wave that is shoving, as Bejjaniii trying to escape with his life. Will have to burn flash. That should be enough, but good work from the side of St. Thomas to get that dragon for themselves. Again, prevent the soul. It really is the one comeback win condition here of Bay State.
Look at that face, though. Turret very heavily targeted. Turret going down around Nexus if they're not too careful about it.
I think the condemn on the super saved it.
Yes.
Calculated.
Calculated for sure. Calculated for sure. Able to protect this here. So 4.2k gold though for UST. It's been slowly mounting over the course of this mid game. 3 dragons now for Bay State. That last one getting swiped away by UST. So delaying some of the build that they were going for.
And this almost feels similar to, you know, what could be the Maryville UST series last game, or yesterday, game 2, with, you know, UST having just insurmountable odds to overcome. Bay State needing a miracle in this one, kind of like UST did yesterday, but hey, pick on Kitzuo could be a start, but oh my!
They try to get the pick, but the fight gets turned on back. Dragonmin is the one to lose out on that, and Bay State, they saw an opportunity with Kitzuo, but UST's response was dire. And
that's Baron. And again, Kitzuo, yes, it's a pick, but that's a Guardian Angel on the Lee Sin, so even if you take him down, it's so hard to take him down again. GA is popped, but that's well worth it for St. Thomas as they'll turn that into a Baron.
Burning it down, finishing it up. The rest of the team pushing over towards mid. Second Baron buff here for UST. So they target this inhibitor tower right now because outnumbering it's just SophistSage and Seranok. Swordblue is on his way, but without that tank right in front of them, there's not very much room that they can create. UST with the onslaught. Teleport comes on in. Bejjaniii goes for the slam into the wall. RobbyBob eliminated from it. Does Shogo go on through? Manages to get out of the most danger that he was in with Seranok. Can he get in range to try and get some of this kill? He's got the final hour activated. Dragonmin, meanwhile, trying to zone off Kitzuo over on the top side. Swordblue so close to going down.
Wait, he just C'd in. I'm actually really surprised Shogo did not turn it, but Shogo at least gets the inhibitor, gets the objective as Porsche is back. The ult pop.
Can he get the knockup onto 2? Try to get it onto Dragonmin here. Swordblue pushed all the way through. Has the Unbreakable up, and Porsche just soaks up so much of the damage, though. Slowly walking black. Gets the wild growth on him, so he can survive. Shogo still poking, and you have those Baron-empowered canyons that can actually end up shooting pretty far as well. Just poke them down. Flashing away. Bay State still in pursuit.
No more Lulu.
Chookies goes down. A stun onto the carry himself, and he still wants to try and take somebody down with him, but is not quite successful. Porsche falls. RobbyBob, you're between their own base and 3 members of Bay State. 2 inhibitors down. You have the supers pushing in. Charmed away. Bay State come out on top. They get the ace.
And UST, they just overextend. Once Seranok gets that ultimate up again, they take the Lulu out. It's too much for UST to deal with. Yes, they get 2 inhibitors, but Bay State, we said they needed a miracle. And keep in mind, that Maryville UST series, Maryville, they were the ones that were sieging onto the base of UST. They were the ones that had 2 inhibitors, and they threw a fight in the Nexus. As it feels like UST, with the scale and comp, they go too far. Yes, Shogo is pumping out crazy damage throughout the series of events, but they lose all their tools. They're able to protect the Vayne being down numbers as this fight continues, and they're the ones that end up going down. They get ace.
It brings you back to some of the tools that Bay State brought through to try and go against UST here. So yes, you have an Ornn that's going through with the Horn, but Swordblue getting that chance to heal up and still protect the rest of the squad with Unbreakable and more. As soon as they get rid of some of that utility from the Lulu as well, those tools have been so crucial to keeping the team alive, and Bay State were able to follow up.
And Shogo's been so good at dancing around these fights as the Vayne, but it is the 1Q from Braum. The ability to then proc that passive after he already burned the Scimitar, that's just too much. Shogo falls, UST falls, but hey, guess what? It is an ace, it is a lot of money, some shutdowns going over to Bay State. Cut into that gold lead a little bit, but it's still 2 inhibitors down, and it's still UST sieging onto Bay State's side of the map again.
Yep, still pushing through, have those supers coming, 2 seconds on the Dragon. First ones to it are UST.
Oh, Kitzuo is actually spotted here. I would love to see if Bay State forces a fight as Porsche is split. Yes, that Dragon, I mean, you want the Hex Tech Soul, but there's no way you can get there. That would have been an opportunity where maybe if they were able to force hard, they could have gotten a 5v4, but instead will not be able to take it. And UST, again, prevent that soul from going over to the side of Bay State.
So Bay State, for quite some time, we're just watching UST really grab things through off of Shogo. But now, because they were able to lose, or win that last fight, rather, maybe have some fire coming up through them. The only difficult part is they're on such a defensive positioning for a lot of this lately. So yes, you're winning the fight. Yeah, you're getting some of those kills through, but you're not able to make it to Dragon. You're not quite able to hold off against these waves. How do you break out of your current situation? It's
signs of life, but they still feel like they're 4 feet under in this game. As Shogo trying to put the extra 2 feet down. Bay State trying to go game 2. Kitzuo
all the way back.
Gets
the GA pops. UST are starting to collapse to see if they can help answer him, but the stun up and the lockdown is too good onto Kitzuo in the meantime. But you do get a stun onto RobbyBob, which means he's the next one to fall. Seranok coming through in the clutch. But RobbyBob did manage to kill 2 before he had fallen himself. Bejjaniii and Swordblue taken out of his Shogo. Final hour, all activated. SophistSage can't even step fully into the fountain before he falls himself. And Chookies is still here too. You got the teleport coming in from Porsche, so you're a big old booty boy here to keep that level of protection. You can have his body between you and the rest of the team. Eat up that charm. Eat up all of the utility brought through by the remaining members of Bay State. Take down a turret. You got the supers here as well. And Shogo is still nice and healthy. Plenty of shielding available. Plenty of autos. And autos are all you need to get the deed done. UST believing in their late power again. Game 2.
And Shogo in top 8. He has yet to play a champion twice. As that Vayne Lulu, I think worthy handshakes going over with his buddy Chookies as the 2 of them stuck together throughout that game. And Shogo pumping out the damage with that front line in front of him. Bay State had no answer.
They couldn't find a way to get back into the game that would allow them to win the game. Yes, here's a fight here and there, but UST from the mid game and beyond, following upon that power, you have to give it to the rest of the team who continuously know and believe in what Shogo can do. And they draft around it and they play around it.
And man, what can Shogo not do at this point? He has been humongous in top 8. It was yesterday first. And again, taking out Maryville, Shogo, when he first came over, he was playing for Columbia. And a part of Columbia, he never beat Maryville. I mean, that was the first time that those guys, or at least Shogo, had taken Maryville down. That was such a big deal to him. And the confidence that he picked up from that, I feel like Shogo, you know, on this stage, really relishing the moment. The biggest stage that he can play on, being someone that is from Israel, keeps on stepping up, keeps on proving that he is someone that can be considered for the next level, which is really tough to do again as a collegiate player when you're not able to play in the Amber system, when you aren't able to get access to Champs Queue. This is where Shogo could prove himself, and he is making the most of that opportunity.
And I'm sure that energy continues to surge through his veins after a performance like that. I mean, UST, they maintain their momentum, and they bring us to match point. While both teams do ready up, let's go ahead and join the analyst desk to break down that game.
And sound the Ornn horn. Boom, boom, boom. We are close, very, very close friends to perhaps a 3-0, but before we get a bit too ahead of ourselves, I want to break down just how well UST is doing, specifically when it comes to how they're playing the games, Max.
These team fights are so cool for University of St. Thomas because in that game, they're behind when they start making the decision to go for these skirmishes, to give Shogo all of these kills and all of the resources that we know they love to pour into him. He's playing this Vayne, the hyper carry with the Lulu behind him and making these fights work.
It's funny you say that because even before that was happening, Bay State was ahead in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
And they actually found ways to involve their jungler in the lanes, actually get those lanes a bit ahead, and then try and capitalize on that. Where it faltered was playing to a numbers disadvantage on these fights. There are so many fights that Bay State took where the Lulu is coming, or their Gnar is pushing on the side and Ezreal's pushing mid, and they're playing into these situations where they're 3 versus 4, or they're 3 versus 5, or they're over-committing to tower dives that they don't need to be committing on. And as a result, you just shovel all the money into Shogo's hands, and then you get to see what he does with it.
Which is something we actually talked about earlier, right? We talked about how Bay State was kind of known for taking sometimes some sloppy or some questionable fights.
True.
So we are seeing that in this series, UST is punishing it really, really well. In the first game, Bay State definitely was a little bit too cautious for the style that they drafted. This game, maybe they were a bit too aggressive to kind of go for these fights that they're going for. So hopefully, you started down here and you're up here. Hopefully you can find a nice middle round going into game 3.
I think, we identified the first step, which is like you're drafting these aggressive laners, right? Dragonmin needs to get involved in the map. Okay, so that's step 1. That's step 1 complete.
Done.
Step 2 is, okay, you get the lead. Now use your numbers, use the item advantage, and play together. Right now, we're not seeing that togetherness from the Bay State squad. They're not making every single play as 5, and each person doesn't necessarily know their role. As you can kind of see here, right? The mechanical misplay does happen, but they still overcommit onto the play. They can just as easily try and peel out, give up the Braum, etc. And you saw that on UST's side too with the Baron push. They could have just given up a person, gotten out, but instead they fought and potentially threw the game with the big lead they had.
And this is the first play where things really started to go awry, because it was like, what, 9-2 when this play began? So Bay State did do a great job. Here's another example where Seranok is making these plays really nicely on the Ahri to find these picks.
Yeah, and he knows the Lulu is coming on the side because the Braum the Lulu's matching Braum. He saw the Ornn before he even went in, decided to go in anyways, try and get the quick pick. But in these kinds of circumstances, when you have the lead, I didn't even see this until the replay showed up that they got the trade kill. But in these kinds of circumstances, like here, you blow the TP. Hey, maybe hit the turret so the TP doesn't go through. You keep the numbers advantage. But instead, they're taking these fights that end up even numbered, that end up a situation where it's 5v4. You see people pushing on the other side of the map, and it just makes it really difficult for them to actually use their lead well.
To make things bigger picture though, right? Bay State coming from a partner conference from the NECC, which traditionally has not gotten a lot of respect. We have talked a lot about, and a lot of people have criticized throughout the year, that they weren't able to step up in these big moments. This is the last moment that you potentially will have. I want to see them step up, use that experience that they've had from maybe being as disrespected or not really praised as much as some of these other programs, and really, really step up.
I believe J. Cole even said, well, people have been counting me out. And that's exactly what's been going on for Bay State. So for a long time, coming down from the bottom end of the bracket as well, they knew they were probably not the favorites coming into it, but every single matchup throughout this entire bracket, even going back to 32, they said they were here to play. This was going to be their year. For a long time, they waited for this team to come together, but I think UST's felt the exact same way.
Shogo has been counting his bullets and loading his clips here. This is a clean game of Vayne. I love that Cubby brought up that he's played only unique champions so far in the top 8.
Stat.
Yeah. I want to see some Kog'Maw from here. Let's keep it going.
Hey.
Maybe the Aurelia they've been hovering this
Ooh,
whole time.
Aurelia bot.
Who's to say, yeah.
For sure, right? But to go look at the UST program on a more macro perspective as well, Smacks, right? You could even say as well, this being their second year too, they poured a ton of resources into the program to make it what it is today, and they're so close to claiming a championship.
It's really the first year that they've given all of their program all of these resources that we see today, because last year they were just that club team. You know, I know Colomer, you've got a lot of experience with that, like the beginnings of UST, but this is really that first big year for them.
I remember last year after top 4 was the first time I talked to UST's director Pelto.
Yeah.
And I love the energy and the passion that he was so willing to commit to this program in their second year. And it's really funny to look now at how much progress and how much development they made. Normally you have like the second year program, you're still trying to tread in the water, figure out what works. Yeah. Maybe your setup isn't even already complete, or you're sharing stuff or whatever. It's amazing to see what they've done. It speaks not only to the players, but institution-wise. You know, we were talking about the staff, you know, Lena and Pelto and Nova, all of them, and all coming together to really make this team dominant.
And as of right now, UST are 1 win away from becoming the new collegiate kings. So let's see if they can make it happen. It's game 3 up next. Who gonna claim that round? Who gonna make the reign of terror happen? Who gonna become a dynasty? We're gonna see when we come back right here for CeeLo.